Welcome to the program. This is Business Incorporated. I am Bosi Namafaye, and we're live to you from Channel's global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria's economic and financial epicenter. Let's get the show started. Deutsche Bank on fire as prosecutors launch an investigation into money laundering scandal at Danske Bank. And U.S. Energy Information Administration forecasts a net decrease in Nigeria and West Africa oil production. And finally, here is Saudi Aramco's anticipated IPO coming up October the 20th. Let's get the show started, everyone. Looking like a bright Thursday in major African stock exchanges where the numbers are almost green across board intraday Thursday. Here in Nigeria at home, the oil share index was up about 0.1%. Midday, that's about 12 o'clock. While the South African, that's the GSE, oil share index was also up almost 1%. Egypt is sustaining the recovery from the last session with the EGX30 up 1.75%. Intraday, the Egyptian Central Bank is taking a rate decision today, most likely to cut rates. Meantime, the Kenyan stock market ended Wednesday's session with a marginal decline, 0.01%. On the other hand, all the markets we track in the Middle East are trending lower intraday Thursday, starting with Abu Dhabi, where the index lost 0.37%, while the Dubai Financial Markets Index, that the DFM index was down 0.15%. In Qatar, the market was also 0.2% lower, and the Saudi Tadawul was reading 8,025.14. We're crossing over to the European markets where trading is still on, at least for the next couple of hours. But the major indices there were higher on Thursday amid hopes that the US and China will be able to resolve their protracted trade battle. Orich Bat is my colleague at DWTV, standing by for Channels Television, the trading floor there in Frankfurt. Thank you, Orich. It's good to see you on the show. Let's get this conversation up and running around the U.S.-China trade talk, gaining focus, pressure in China on stocks. How is it panning out in the European market this afternoon?
Not the same pressure, not any pressure like in China. The exchanges around Europe are on the way up. Here in Frankfurt, it's the least gain. It's only about 0.5% as we speak. But otherwise, in Milan, for example, it's 0.8% as it is in Paris. And the FTSE even going up in London by over 1%. The president, Donald Trump, saying that the conflict with China over trade may be over sooner than people thought. But still, you see people treading carefully with remarks like this. First of all, the president is going back and forth. Each time he starts being aggressive, the Chinese are aggressive back. And one analyst said he suspects that Donald Trump is saying something like this at this time now, so that there is not a sell-off in the market. That is, he doesn't really believe that it will be over anytime soon. Adding, a trade conflict like this could go on for years if there is a solution at all. Investors know this, yet today the shares are a little bit higher, but no one's leaping for joy because there's that other problem in connection with the U.S. president as well. Impeachment talk, the will of impeachment by Congress, and that could paralyze decision-making in Washington for some time, and that's also a prospect investors don't relish.
Okay, Orich, let's spend some time on one big corporate story around Germany's big bank, one of the biggest banks in the world, Deutsche Bank. The prosecutors in Frankfurt says they are conducting an investigation into the role of the Deutsche Bank in Danske Bank. Can you flesh up this story for us?
Yes, Deutsche Bank may be going downhill in the stock market in terms of its market capitalization, in terms of its poor performance. Many of the things that made cash with in the past are just not working or are no longer a viable business model for it. But it is still one of the biggest correspondence banks in the world, handling transactions for banks all over the place, into all sorts of places. And in this role, as a partner in transactions, not being the instigator of transactions on either end, but being sort of the intermediary, that's what seeming to get it into trouble on these money laundering charges. And that's what's at the core of the Danske case. The Danske case could become the world's largest money laundering case. Some people already say it is. And its Estonian branch is charged with money laundering. And the Deutsche Bank handled business coming out of Estonia from Danske for many years. And now the bank was searched. It wasn't a big official search, the authorities say, but it was searched for evidence in connection with that. And what we hear is that the prosecutors are saying that there's one employee of the Deutsche Bank who was involved with this type of work in the time 2014 to 2018. The Deutsche Bank itself confirming the suspicions, the allegations that it was involved, and saying that at the heart of it is reports on suspicion of money laundering just having been sent too late. And it says that after sifting through many volumes of data, it has come up with a double-digit number of cases involving about 12.5 million euros in volume where this suspicion might be true. So this case is still developing, but I think that sort of puts it into perspective what kind of a role Deutsche Bank might be playing in this.
I'm sure Deutsche Bank has been in troubles before. This is not entirely new. Let's see this is how this goes. Yeah. It's looking like a cat with 9 lives. That's what Deutsche Bank's looking like.
Yes.
It's like a cat. I don't know which of his lifeline is using now. Perhaps the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th. I don't know. But let's keep our fingers crossed, and we keep reporting what happens. That's our job here on our news channels. Thank you so much, Ulrich Barth from DWTV, or for Channels Television, live out of the stock exchange in Frankfurt.